It's funny how silence can feel louder than a gunshot. That night, in his parents' living room, the silence cut into me sharper than any insult ever could, and every pair of eyes said what their mouths didn't. I didn't belong there. I stood, rigid and small, in front of their polished fireplace while his father's whiskey glass clicked against the oak table like a gavel. They hated me. They didn't have to say it. My clothes weren't right, my accent wasn't right, my whole existence wasn't right. And here Ryan, with his clean smile and college-perfect shirt, was the only reason I hadn't walked out that door. But then, just when my throat felt ready to close, I felt it. His hand brushing against mine under the table. A secret touch. A silent rebellion. That small gesture said everything we couldn't say out loud. And that's how this story really begins. Ryan Montgomery was the kind of boy people wrote yearbook superlatives about. Most likely to succeed. Best smile. Most dateable. His family was old money in Charleston, South Carolina, with a house that looked like it was ripped out of a movie set, white pillars and manicured lawns that smelled like expectation. He was their golden boy, the one who would carry their name and legacy into another pristine generation. And then there was Ethan Alvarez, the son of an immigrant single mother who worked double shifts at a diner. The kid with secondhand sneakers, tattoos I couldn't hide, and a chip on my shoulder big enough to crush anyone who looked at me wrong. If Ryan was sunlight, I was smoke. We weren't supposed to collide. But high school has its own cruel sense of humor. It started in detention. He was there because he mouthed off to a teacher for giving him a B-. I was there because I got caught fighting behind the bleachers. When the teacher left the room, Ryan leaned over, his clean, polished hands folded neatly on the desk, and whispered, "So, who'd you hit this time?" I glared at him, expecting mockery. Instead, he smirked. And God, that smirk was trouble. From that day, trouble kept following us. We became something like friends. He tutored me in math because numbers and I were in a permanent war, and I taught him how to light a cigarette without choking. We met under the bleachers after practice, in the back of the diner when my mom wasn't watching, in the stolen hours between responsibility and rebellion. And slowly, something dangerous started growing between us. Ryan's family knew something was different. His mother would frown when he skipped dinners. His father would snap when he came home smelling like cheap cologne that wasn't his. But no one dared say the word. Not yet. The night everything cracked open was the night of his sister's engagement party. The Montgomery house was lit up like a palace. Champagne glasses clinking. Chandeliers dripping with money. Ryan invited me. Maybe he thought it would be okay, that if I wore the right clothes, if I kept my head down, his family would at least tolerate me. They didn't. I felt it the moment I stepped through the door their stairs. The way the room quieted for a split second before the music picked back up. Ryan tried to shield me, keeping me close, but his father cornered us near the bar. "Son," Mr. Montgomery said, eyes never leaving me, "your friend here doesn't exactly fit the occasion." Ryan's jaw clenched. "He's with me. With you." His father's voice was ice. "This family has a reputation. You can't just drag anyone off the street into our home. Anyone off the street." That was what I was to them. Trash. A stain. I should have left right then. I should have spared Ryan the fallout. But pride rooted me in place. And then his hand found mine under the counter. My heart stuttered. He wasn't afraid. Not in that moment. He was choosing me right there in front of everyone who wanted me gone. That night, after the party ended in slammed doors and bitter words, Ryan drove me to the pier. We sat on the hood of his car, the salt air biting, the ocean stretching endless in front of us. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, I whispered, "You don't have to do this. You don't have to pick me over them." He turned, eyes fierce in the moonlight. "Ethan, I don't want a life that feels empty just because it looks perfect. I want you." The waves crashed like applause against the pier. My throat ached with something sharp and beautiful. I wanted to believe him, but I knew the war we were stepping into. The weeks that followed were a blur of hidden kisses, stolen nights, and the constant threat of being found out. His family tightened their grip on him. My mom, too, noticed the late hours, the new tension in my shoulders. One night she asked carefully, "This boy, is he worth the hurt I see in your eyes?" I didn't answer, because love isn't about worth. It's about gravity, about something pulling you even when you know it might break you. And then came the night that almost did. We were supposed to meet at our spot, the diner's back alley where the neon lights flickered pink and blue. But instead of Ryan, his brother showed up, tall, cruel-faced, the kind of man who thought money gave him the right to everything. "You think you can sink your claws into my brother?" he sneered, stepping closer. "You're nothing, Alvarez. Nothing but a phase he'll outgrow." I wanted to hit him. God, I wanted to. But before I could move, Ryan appeared, shoving his brother back. "Leave him alone." His brother laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "Mom and Dad are right. You're throwing your future away." "For what?" "For him." And Ryan, with that stubborn fire in his chest, said the words I didn't dare hope for. "For love." The alley went quiet. The neon buzzed. My lungs forgot how to work. That was the night we both realized this wasn't just rebellion. This was real. This was worth fighting for. But love, when it comes with that much fire, always draws storms. Ryan's confession in that alley changed everything, but not in the way we dreamed. His family didn't back down, they doubled their chains around him. He was grounded, his phone taken, his every move shadowed. For days, I didn't see him, didn't hear from him, only felt the hollow ache in my chest where his laughter used to live. I told myself to move on. I worked extra shifts at the diner, poured coffee for strangers, pretended their small talk could drown out the memory of his hand in mine. But every night when the neon lights flickered against the windows, I saw his face. When we finally met again, it wasn't planned. It was raining hard, the kind of storm that turns streets into rivers. I was closing up the diner when the door swung open, and there he was, drenched to the bone, hair plastered to his forehead, eyes wild with desperation. "Ethan," he gasped, like my name was oxygen. Before I could speak, he pulled me into his arms, rain soaking my shirt. His voice broke as he whispered, "I can't do it. I can't pretend to be someone I'm not just to make them proud." I clung to him, every broken piece of me stitching together in his embrace. But reality wasn't that kind. His family would never forgive. My mom feared for me. And the world had sharp teeth for boys like us. Still, we carved out a space of our own. Nights in my small apartment, listening to the hum of the fridge as we whispered about dreams we weren't sure we'd ever reach. Days spent in stolen freedom, driving with the windows down, singing off-key just to hear each other laugh. Those moments were gold, but always shadowed by the storm of his family's rage. The breaking point came at Thanksgiving. Ryan invited me. Against every warning, I went. His mother barely acknowledged me. His father looked at me like I was poison. But I sat at that table because Ryan wanted me there. Dinner was tense, every fork scraping against porcelain like a threat. Then his father set down his glass and said, calm and deadly, "Ryan, this ends tonight. You will break whatever this is, or you will not be my son." The silence that followed was a chasm. My chest tightened. I wanted to spare him, to stand up and leave before he had to choose. But Ryan reached under the table again, his hand gripping mine so tight it hurt. He lifted his head and said, steady as stone, "Then I won't be your son." Gasps rattled around the table. His mother burst into tears. His brother cursed under his breath. But Ryan didn't let go of me. Not once. We left together, the night air sharp against our skin. My heart was heavy, had lost so much in a single sentence, but when he turned to me, his eyes were clear, unshaken. "Ethan," he said, "family isn't who shares your blood, it's who shares your fight." I wanted to fall to my knees right there. Instead, I kissed him, slow and trembling, as if the whole cruel world could burn away in that moment. The months after were hard. His family cut him off. He had to move out, take night shifts, figure out a life without the cushion of wealth. I helped where I could, offering my couch, splitting bills, sometimes just holding him when the weight got too much. We stumbled, we fought, we nearly broke under the pressure of survival. But our love was stubborn. There were nights we collapsed into laughter after a meal of cheap ramen. Nights we danced barefoot in my kitchen just to the hum of the fridge. Nights we held each other like lifelines when doubt clawed at our throats. Each struggle carved us sharper, tougher, closer. And slowly we built something they couldn't touch. Years later, when I stood with him on the porch of the small house we had managed to buy together, I remembered that first-hand squeeze under the table. The courage in it. The promise in it. Ryan's family still lived in their mansion. Still pretended we didn't exist. Sometimes that stung. But when I looked at him, his messy hair, his stubborn smile, the warmth in his eyes, I knew we hadn't lost. Because love had given us a home. Not the kind with chandeliers and marble floors, but the kind where laughter echoes through hallways and silence feels safe, not suffocating. The kind where no one has to pretend. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Ryan reached for my hand while we sat on our porch steps. His fingers were calloused from long shifts, but they fit perfectly against mine. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked softly. I looked at him, at the boy who had once been terrified of disappointing everyone, at the man who had chosen me anyway. My throat tightened with the weight of everything we'd endured. "Not for a second," I whispered, and as fireflies lit up the yard and the cicadas sang, I realized something. They could hate me all they wanted, but when loneliness closed in, when the world turned its back, he was the one who took my hand. And that was worth every battle, every scar, every single loss. Because in the end, we hadn't just survived, we had loved. And that was enough. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.